Hi everyone. We had today quite a few very interesting discussions about AI, about utilizing AI in your workforce as an agent, as a resource. And today I'm going to cover a slightly different aspect about AI. So it's obvious for everyone that we actively use AI, but it also means our customers use AI to do the research, to find the companies, to find the solutions. And today, I'm going to present you my research and my findings of what companies need to do to be able to be foundable through AI, and to understand also what AI says about you when your customers search for product or service that you offer. And so, first, a little bit about me. So you may hear by my accent, Eastern European. I started my journey in Russia. That's where I was born. And then I tried to find a place where I belong. First, I moved to the Netherlands, where I did my bachelor's in business and management. It was really, really nice, but a little bit cold, and the scenery not that great. So I continued my search, and then I ended up in Spain. Beautiful country, warm, but also not quite what I was looking for. And then finally, in 2017, life brought me to New Zealand. And that was the match. That was the love from the first sight. And I fell in love with New Zealand, and I think New Zealand also accepted me. So that became my home. And since that time, I've been in the New Zealand digital marketing industry. I've been doing quite a few years search engine optimization. I love data. I love how people search, how people behave online. So I was really, really interested to understand people's mind and how they operate online. So I did this for a few years, but I have this type of personality that just doing my job is not enough. I always need to do extra 20 things just to kind of feel fun in life, I guess. So during the lockdown, it was 2022, I think. We all were sitting at home, bored, watching Netflix. And I tried to do something productive with my time. I watched all the possible Netflix movies, and I was so bored that I signed up for a master's in digital marketing, of course. That was an online program through UK. And I thought it was perfect, you know. Lockdown, I'm spending it productively. I'm working during daytime in digital marketing, and evenings I study more digital marketing. That turned into like a 3-year journey because it turned out quite hard to come home after work and spend more hours staring at screen, learning about digital marketing. But the best part of that was that in 2023, when just ChatGPT 3.5 went out, I had to select a topic of my thesis. And that's when the whole AI world was talking about what's going to happen with us, what's going to happen with our jobs, and all of it. So my interest was very clear. I wanted to know what happens with me and my job. So I did a research on what happens with marketers with the rise of AI, especially in New Zealand. And that was my first step of getting in the AI world. And Justin was kind enough to actually do interview for my research for that paper. And what I found through my research, that what we've already discussed a little bit today, is that jobs are not disappearing, jobs are evolving, and a high skill, super important skill for all of us is to be able to use AI in our day-to-day life. So this is where my love for AI kind of started, and I got really, really interested in that. I tried to understand how it works, what it does behind the scenes, and what are the possibilities of utilizing that. Fast forward, again, I have a bit of love and hate relationship with academia. I can never quit, I feel like, academia, because as soon as I graduated with my master's program, I joined NZIE, this is New Zealand Institute of Education, as a tutor this time, to be on the other side. where I develop a course on AI and digital marketing. This is a 9-week course where I teach students on how they can use AI tools to succeed and fasten everything and improve their processes in digital marketing. And also at the same time, because again, I need to do multiple things at once to keep stimulated, I joined Atlas Digital team, where we help SaaS businesses to grow online. So I joined the company with the role of search engine optimization, where it's my primary goal to optimize websites towards visibility in Google results. But things changing now. And now it's not only about appearing in Google results. We know people search things in ChatGPT. People typing out, what is the best solution for me and for my company, and provide all it needs. And this is what I dive deep into analyzing and researching. How do actually LLMs work, and what businesses need to do to be recommended by LLMs? So I'm going to reveal it today. We all know, I guess, well, should I ask people to raise hands if you tried using ChatGPT or any other platform to find yourself or research a product? Okay, yep. We find like this is so great. Before, you had to really think hard of what you type in Google. You had to think of this like combination of about 5 words where you're hoping Google will understand. And you're quite limited. Before, you couldn't really type a complex sentence explaining your problem. We can do it now with LLMs, and this is where it's so helpful. We know that they can go through researching online, find reviews, find the information, and recommend us the best possible solution for us. And we really enjoy it. It saves us time. And we can converse with LLMs as we converse with a friend, with a colleague, which also makes the whole process a lot more easier and pleasant. And I have this beautiful quote from the research from Salesforce, though 2024, I should update this slide with more relevant information. But people search in LLMs not only our day-to-day lives. People also researching for businesses. So it's an active tool that businesses use to find other businesses, very important in our B2B world. And AI is super helpful for us because it understands our search intent. It understands whether we're trying to buy something right now or whether we're trying just to research. Are we looking for reviews and trying to understand pros and cons of a company or a product or something like this? It becomes our companion, basically, in researching and getting us there. And so in digital marketing, we love acronyms. I love them, I hate them, because I'm always, first, sometimes I struggle to pronounce them. Second, first time I heard geo, people asked me, what do you think about geo? I was like, geo? Like geo-targeting? No, so I'll translate you. Generative engine optimization is a process similar to search engine optimization that's focused on optimizing our websites to appear in large language models, to be recommended by them. And it's a real fun topic for me because at the moment it's a bit of Wild West. So SEO existed for years. Google released lots of documents that says what do you need to do to optimize your website. There are lots of big platforms and companies like SEMrush, Ahrefs that talk about audit the website that requires for appearing in Google search results. But there is no actual real much information on what you need to do to appear in LLMs. At the moment, and I mean, there's no actual documentation like Google. So at the moment, what everyone does, we just test and see what works and what doesn't. and then people share it online, and there's a little bit of a community going on with active discussions, revealing secrets, and testing them out. And myself, as a researcher at heart, I was dedicated to find the secret sauce, what it takes to appear in LLMs. It's really important for me because this is what I do for work. I help clients to appear organically, and at the moment, like, people are a bit bored with SEO, to be honest. Like, it's a bit of, is SEO dead? Like, is it dead? I don't know. No, it's not. But it's a little bit like outdated, I feel like. But generative engine optimization is something a hot topic. And so there are a few key components that I discovered are important for generative engine optimization that required from your side. So first one, technical foundation. It's very similar like an SEO. Your website has to be being able to indexable by LLMs. LLMs have to be able to find that content. It shouldn't be blocked by anything, etc. Content structure. Again, the way LLMs process the content is a bit different, and certain structure of content helps LLMs to understand your content and what's in there. Authority signals. This is an interesting one, and I'll talk a little bit further about it. But when we ask LLMs, what is the best CRM for my team? It doesn't just provide you the list of features of different CRMs. It goes through different reviews and analysis and sees what people actually recommend and uses these authority signals to recommend not just based on what websites list on their descriptions, but also what people say about this product. And regional relevance also highly important for that. All right, now this is a secret sauce. You can take pictures. I spent long time going deep in the internet trying to find the secret sauce. And again, it's a wild west, people doing tests and just trying to see what works and what doesn't work. And I found this research by an agency, First Age, that is a New York-based agency, and I really found it very interesting. So they analyzed 11,000 commercial queries to see what's the pattern that different LLMs get to recommend. And what do you see here? So this is different percentages of importance of different aspects. Now, what's interesting here, first, all LLMs, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, they all operate slightly different. They have slightly different signals that they use to identify what content they should recommend. But at the same time, very similar. So the first one is authoritative lists. These are the lists 10 best CRM solutions, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, this type of lists. So these lists are super important, and these are lists that LLMs crawl and they use for recommendation. Awards, again, super important. Awards help, like when companies list and talk about the awards they won, that helps LLM to ensure that the companies they recommend are credible, that they're actually good ones, and awards is a really good way to show that you're something, that you won something, that's an achievement. Then depends on different platforms, but some of them, domain authority, Gemini. So domain authority, this is a term from search engine optimization that talks how strong is your domain. And I'm not surprised because Gemini is Google, basically, and Google uses domain authority to rank websites, so makes all sense. But also, they have 3.5 star rating. So it's basically if a company has low rating, it will not recommend it because why, I guess, should it? Then depends, I guess, also things change so quickly. So this research was done a couple of months ago when Claude didn't use the internet function that regularly. So that often would pull answers from its database. But things change all the time. Now, here I have more detailed breakdown of actual different signals that ChatGPT uses for identifying which company they should recommend. So, authoritative list mentions. But what's very interesting about it, can you see Bing? Have you heard Bing? When did you hear about Bing last time? When it's coming back. It's here. ChatGPT, OpenAI has partnership with Bing, and from the research that I found is that OpenAI uses top best results in Bing and uses Bing results basically, which is very interesting because now, after doing all this research, for the first time, I submitted and I created like Bing webmaster profiles for my clients and the websites. It's similar to Google Search Console, if you may know. So it's there, it's coming back. Awards and accreditations, online reviews, customer examples. So customers' examples are super important because people don't type simple queries. ChatGPT allows us to explain our problems, and we want to get the custom recommendations for our business, whatever business it is, farming or anything else. People would say, I have this, let's say, as an example, farming business, and I'm looking for a payroll solution for our team of 100 people, something like that. And this is where having on your website customer examples and case studies is super important, because this way LLMs can connect. You offer solutions for farmers, for example, and therefore when people type, help me to find something for my industry, it will show the results. Statistics and numbers also super helpful. I will talk about it further on, but this basically adds credibility to your content. In SEO, we have such thing as EAT framework. This is a framework basically that tells you that your content has to be very reputable for search engine to index that. So we're a similar thing. All right, so organic growth engine. We try to step out from talking about SEO now and talk about the holistic thing of organic visibility. First one, search engine optimization. I look at analytics of my clients every day, and organic traffic is still #1 traffic for basically every business I know. It's highly important, and still people trust results in Google results. And people trust organic results more than paid results. It just happens. So SEO is still important. Being visible in organic results and SERP results doesn't go away. But now we have also generative engine optimization, super important. Next layer is content and thought leadership. This is just important for multiple reasons, but for me as SEO and now geo specialist, this is what LLMs use to pull the content through. And reputation management. Now reputation management becomes even more important because this is a really crucial component for LLMs to decide whether they recommend your business or don't. Okay, few tools and tactics. Again, it's a wild west at the moment in terms of generative engine optimization. Nobody really knows 100% whether it's super important or not. At the moment, what we do, we test. We implement and we test and we try to follow the best possible recommendations, and then we see. So a few things, I'll go to slightly technical things, but things like robots.txt. This is a file that sits on your website that tells engines whether to index your website or not. LLMs.txt. This is a fun one. because on LinkedIn, there are so many discussions about whether it's waste of time or not. But we try to do our best. OK, I'll go into a bit further details. Things like robots.txt. So this is where you allow or disallow search engines to crawl your content. So now, with all this GEO stuff, you can also include and allow different LLM chatbots to crawl your website. Or you can disallow. For example, Stuff, they have robots.txt, which disallows any AI bots to crawl it, because Stuff doesn't want ChatGPT to pull information from there. So, but if you're a business, I would say you do want to make sure that your website is foundable. So next one, this is the controversial LLMs.txt file. This is a text file that also similar like robots.txt that sits on the back of your website, and it helps LLMs to understand structure of your website and your content. From my opinion, anything that helps, if it helps by 3%, I'll take it. I'll take anything that helps a website to be more visible. So my strategy is, if it doesn't hurt, it's better to put effort into something, and then if it brings some extra benefits, awesome. Schema markup, so it's another, our little favorite ISO thingy. This is a little code that goes on the back of your website that search engines and LLMs can crawl easily and helps them to understand the content of the website. Now, what's the best way to measure and track your traffic from LLMs? There are lots of tools, and it's, again, a very interesting place to be. But what you need to know is, first of all, your conversations in ChatGPT are ultimately private. Nobody can really access your conversations within ChatGPT or elsewhere. Well, so therefore, the tools that say, we know how many times your brand was mentioned in ChatGPT is not true, because it's private. But what's true and what you really can measure is data from Google Analytics, the source of truth. If you try to click on links from ChatGPT, you will see that links come with the source of ChatGPT, and therefore you can see the traffic that comes from there. In this little graph from our reporting, you can see examples of sources from different LLMs. I love Google Analytics. For me, it's my little Bible thingy. And what I enjoy is going deeper in the data and trying to understand it, what it means. So I can use the same source of all these LLMs and try to understand where it's coming from, what landing pages people land. This helps me to understand what landing pages are appearing in LLMs, and therefore what people search. Now, this is my favorite. So I've added to this new graph to all my clients. This is a graph of the same source LLMs. And what I see for every single client is very similar trajectory. The traffic from LLMs go higher and higher and higher every month. This one is up until June, but I tell you, July was higher than that. And this is very exciting. It tells me that people actively using ChatGPT more and more and more to search, and this is all from our B2B clients. So it's not just B2C kind of research. People are searching for products online, and we want to make sure the websites are foundable there. So a few recommendations of what are the best content type. Comparative lists. I kind of have, it's a bit hard topic because people generally a bit careful with it, but LLMs love it. This list where you compare yourself with another 4 competitors, and be honest though, please. And compare different features. Let's say how many different features, maybe the pricing, whatever you want to compare. These type of lists are super helpful. LLMs love it, and they pull it. And if you don't do it, your competitors will have this type of lists, and maybe a little bit honest, but you can always spin anything to your favor or their favor. So if you don't do it and they do it, they'll probably spin it in their favor. So I recommend you do that. And then also things like problem-solving guides, industry-specific content, technical how-tos, and curated guides, best of. Now, I'm revealing all our secrets, so take photos. Ideal content structure. So again, for LLMs, content structure matters. Content that is very easy for them to access and read, they're going to go for it. They're going to read and access the content that is easiest for them to process. So therefore, try to organize it in a very LLM-friendly way. And you can see here, I also highlighted citation in bold. So again, LLMs love citations. And I've read some interesting research on how content that includes citations is more preferable by LLMs. So if you write in blog articles, find interesting sources of third-party data, government websites, statistics website, pull this information and include the reference to your source. Here's a little example. So instead of having a chunk of text, break it down, add numbers, add some bullet points, and make it very clean and simple. Okay. I really like this one. And so AI doesn't just find your content. It evaluates whether it's worth citing it over your competitors. You don't just write content, we write content for people, but think that your content competes with lots of other content online. And therefore, make it strong, include citations, make it clear for LLMs to process, make it really strong and powerful so it wins the competition in LLM's eyes. Now, also homework, because I'm also a tutor, so I love also giving homework to students. So I've researched a lot about tools that do generative engine optimization stuff. And basically what these tools do is that they create test queries that they send into ChatGPT, and then they analyze the results. And based on these results, they tell you, what they tell you basically is the sentiment. And sentiment is quite important. So I recommend you do the test, try to see what information ChatGPT has on your company, and therefore you'll be able to see, first you'll be able to see if there's any incorrect information. I've done this, one of my clients shares this, I've done this exercise, and we found that ChatGPT was citing quite a few old and correct sources about them. So we were able to identify them. Some of them were even internal documents. And I said, hey, here are some documents that pull wrong information. Let's update them. Maybe there's third-party websites. Even the older ones, 2 years ago, they still have old information about your company, and they still pull this information. So by going this research, you can find the wrong data and fix it up. Yeah, all that. So SEO is not dead, still alive, still super important. It's just getting more complex. And it's not just about ranking, it's about being recommended. It's about the company that LLM recommends. So make small changes, put some effort into that. It's all worth it. Thank you.